Ladies and gentlemen of the comic book community, welcome back to a new video. It's that time of week again where we come together, sit down, and take a look at all the best and worst covers hitting your comic book shelves on this new comic book Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. Yes, the eyes of November are upon us, and we are quickly approaching the end of 2025. Thank God. I think a lot of people would say I am definitely one of them because it has been a year. But we are finally back to full strength. We finally, after weeks and weeks and almost months, it feels like, of only being able to provide you the best covers of the week, we finally have full strength. We are finally at full strength. The beast had finally risen. We have your best and worst from DC, Marvel, and Independence to go over this week. The best of the best, the worst of the worst, and some are just kind of somewhere in between. But without further ado, let's get into it. And as always, we're going to start off with DC Comics, and we're going to kick off our top five here at number 5 with Absolute Green Lantern number 8. This cover, D. Dustin Guion variant. I love the intensity on this Green Lantern's face. I love the detail in the hair. I love the kind of use of the different art styles all around it, the green glowing eyes, the marks on the face. It's a beautiful Green Lantern cover. I feel like it stands out on everything else. And just by the pure intensity on her face, you want to know what's going on with this character, what's going on with this book. And this cover just draws you to pick it up off the shelf. And coming in at number 4, we have this cover C, Nubovich variant on Poison Ivy number 38. Look at Poison Ivy laying there. Look at the detail in the hair. Look at the detail in her bodysuit. She's sexy. She's seductive. She's playing to your inner want to be wanted. Look at that booty just popping. She's got that cake. She's got those cheeks that you would just want to clap. She's sitting there. She's ready to seduce you and probably end your life. Beautiful Poison Ivy cover on number 38 this week. Coming in at number 3, we have this cover B, Nimit Melvia variant on Batgirl number 13. Look at the use of the art style of Gotham in the background, that big crescent moon. Batgirl front and center, standing on a gargoyle perch, ready to take some vigilante action. It's really well done, really well detailed, and a very beautiful Batgirl cover this week. Coming in at number 2, we have this cover B, Gerald Perel variant on Cheetah and Cheshire, however you say it, Rob the Justice League number 4. I love the use of the purples and the blacks in this cover, how you get a little bit of cleavage, her pure green emerald eyes piercing back at you, seductively holding those dice like she wants to blow on your dice as you're about to be a high roller. Beautiful cover, really well done. I feel like it stands out on the shelf against all these other covers on this book this week, and it's definitely one I think you should pick up if you're going to read this book. Coming in at number 1, we have my book of the week, the book I'm most excited for this week. That's right, we have Batman DCKO tie-in Night Fight number 1 in this beautiful John Boy Mayers variant. Look at this Nightwing version of Batman. You're going to get different versions of Batman in this book, because if you remember DCKO, Batman kind of got annihilated in the first issue, spoiler alert. So now we're going to get into a story where we see all these different versions of Batman. You get a Red Hood version, you get a Dick Grayson version, you get a Jason Todd, a Tim Drake version, and I believe a Damian Wayne version of Batman, all in this futuristic Batman story. I'm super excited to read this. I've been looking forward to this. This is the book I'm most looking forward to this week. I can't wait to read it, and we'll probably review it. But I absolutely love the use of the blues off the yellows in this cover, the Nightwing / bat symbol here in the middle. It looks like he's been through some shit as he's been shot up, as he's got all these holes in him. Beautifully well done cover, beautiful John Boy Mayer cover. I cannot wait to pick this book up, and especially this cover off the shelf. Moving on to our worst covers of the week, we're going to start off with this cover B, Ricardo Federico variant on Adventures of Superman Book of L number 3. Now, I know what you're saying, Matt, why is this cover bad? I don't think this cover is bad. Well, it's not. And the reason I put it on the worst covers of the week this week is because I'm getting tired of what feels like artists referencing celebrities or characters from other mediums to make them look like superheroes. And I feel like that's what's being done with this one. Is this looks like Phil Dunphy from Modern Family here as Superman.
Hey kids, how was your day? I knew the answer to that question. I'd had kind of a busy day going around solving everyone's problems.
I know we just got done with Halloween, but let's be real here. Do we really need Phil Dunphy from Modern Family and wonder what he would look like as Superman? Because that's exactly what this cover screams to me. So that's why I got put on the number 5 list. Remember, number 5 is that it's not that bad, but there's some issues I have with it. So that's kind of what I really have. My issue with this one is that it just looks like Phil Dunphy from Modern Family. So I just was like, all right, I could do without this. So it's going on the number 5 spot. Coming in at number 4, we have this Rafa Sandoval cover on Absolute Superman, number 13. I picked this cover for number 4 because it's just so much going on. At first glance, you can't really tell what it is. I had to sit on this cover for a little bit to be able to make out like the tanks in the background, Superman coming through the fire, just the pure destruction. I just feel like this has got a lot going on where it's very confusing to the eye. And when you're walking across the shelf, you want the cover to stand out at you, jump out, and give you a reason to pick this book up. And this one, I feel like it's just so aesthetically unappeasing to the eye when you first glance at it because there's just so much going on. It's not that it's a badly done cover. It's just that there's so much going on in it that it's kind of confusing at first, and you really have to stop and take a second to look at it. And do you really want that when you're trying to be up against all the other competition that you have on the shelves this week? You want to glance at it and have the cover be like, oh man, that's amazing. Let me pick that up. I don't feel like you get that from this cover, so that's why it made it to the number 4 spot this week. Coming in at number 3, we have this cover D Francisco Franjavela variant on Birds of Prey number 27. I feel like this cover is just pretty basic. You have a basic character in the front, just kind of deadpan, no real detail in the face, no real detail in the body, just kind of standing there static with a static Batwoman in the background. You've got more detail in Batwoman in the background than you do in your foreground character. And up against that just pure orange background, yes, it screams Halloween, but it also doesn't really do much to aesthetically please the eye to jump off the cover and say, hey, pick me up, read me, give this Birds of Prey book a chance. I understand it's issue 27, but I just feel like there, especially for a cover D, there could be a little bit more detail put in this, especially in your main focus character in the foreground there. Otherwise, that's why it made the number 3 spot for the worst covers of the week from DC this week. Coming in at number 2, we have this cover D Fabrizio De Tomaso variant on Batman Night Fight number 1. Same thing here. I feel like this Batman, it is the Nightwing Batman, I'm assuming just by the symbol, but your character's out of focus. Everything just feels so blurry. It's like you just woke up from a nap, rubbed your eyes, and you still got that double vision. Everything's just blurry. Nothing's in focus. It just doesn't really work for me. Yeah, it looks like he's swinging away from an explosion with a bunch of bats around, but it also kind of looks like he has no upper lip, like he's dropping a grumpy. If you would have asked me, it looks like Batman just ate Taco Bell and he's in a fight for his life. It just doesn't really scream, pick me up like that John Boy Mirror one does. I feel like that John Boy Mirror one has a lot of focus. All the focus is in the right spots, and it really makes you curious about what it is because there's a lot of emphasis on the symbol, the suit, the way he looks. It intrigues you to want to pick that book up off the shelf and take a look at the interiors. This one here, you would just think it's Bruce Wayne doing what Bruce Wayne does. And that may be the case, but I don't think it is. I just don't like the way everything's blurry and out of focus and just really, not touched up or defined or really just jumps out at you. So that's why I made it to the number 2 spot for me and the worst covers of the week for DC this week. And of course, coming in at number 1, we have this Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League number 1 Nicholas Scott A cover. I don't like how bad the characters are in the front. Why does it look like the chick in the background's a Force ghost? It just doesn't really work for me. I don't like how thin and almost malnourished Cheetah looks. It's just really not. Last time I checked, like Cheetah was a female, and I don't get those vibes from this cover here. Not that really matters, but I just feel like it's poor quality on this book. It could have been a little bit better. There could have been a little bit more detail in this book. to really make that cover pop, especially an A cover, as the cover is, as I always say, the cover is your first opportunity to make a good impression on a new reader. I don't feel like this does it, especially for an A cover that's at your cheaper $3.99 price point. I feel like they could have done a little bit better, picked a better cover for this, especially up against on this book when we had, that beautiful cover in our top spots on this book. I think I would go with that one and just leave the number one or A cover on the shelf. All right, that's it for DC. Now we're going to get into Marvel and our best worst covers of the week from Marvel. And kicking us off at the number 5 spot on our best covers of the week from Marvel, we got to go with this amazing X-Men Stephanie Hans variant on Age of Revelation number 2. What a beautiful Majik cover, kind of in her demon form as she's breathing out or sucking in these souls. It's really well done. I love how she kind of has like the feathers or crow feathers or whatever you want to call them on the shoulder. It's just a beautifully well done cover. It stands out, just eye catching. It's got everything you want in a cover, especially in a book that you may be questioning or are number 2. Coming in at number 4, we have this Philip Tan Mojo variant on Long Shots number 2. How often is it that you see a Mojo cover and he's there in all of his disgusting, grotesque, terrifying glory? I can't wait to see what this book is about. Like you said, you don't often get very many Mojo covers, so I feel like it really stands out. It makes you really interested in what's going on in this book, so I picked this one at the number 4 spot. Up next, the number 3 spot for Marvel, we have Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu 14, and that's 1/25 Lucio Perillo variant. I like the way Moon Knight is standing there defiant, ready for battle against this knife-wielding maniac. It's fun. It's an intriguing cover. I love kind of the mysticism and the just kind of background aura used around Moon Knight, as it feels like that white from his costume was blended out into that dark background. Very well done. I love the lens flare on Moon Knight, the use of shadow. It's just a very well done, beautiful, eye-catching cover for Moon Knight. So that's why I made it to the number 3 spot this week. At number 2, we have Alien versus Captain America Inhok Lee variant. All the variants on this book are pretty badass. I like this one the most just because I feel like you kind of got that strong classic. Can't talk. You got that strong classic Cap look as this xenomorph is bearing down on him, ready to drop its acid drool on Cap, where it looks like Cap is in a very, very cumbersome position. Very well done. I can't wait to read this book, and I can't wait to pick this up. What a concept. Alien versus Captain America. Interesting to see how Cap handles this one, right? And I feel like this cover really puts him in danger, and it makes you go, oh man, I need to find out what's going on here. Like I said, the cover is your first opportunity to grasp a reader's attention, and I feel like this cover does that perfectly. And coming in at number 1, we have Laura Kinney Sabretooth Ashley Witter variant. Laura Kinney as Sabretooth, the versus, and facing off against her sister, Honey Badger. What more do I need to say? This is going to be a slapdown, knockdown fight, intriguing at best. I love the art. I love the way Laura Kinney surprisingly looks in that Sabretooth costume. I wonder what beef Honey Badger has with her in this role, and she's probably, why are you taking on the role of Dad's greatest enemy? Well, I guess we're going to find out in this book, but I think it's a beautiful cover. Both girls are drawn really well. Just a lot of fun, very intriguing. Definitely one I'm picking up on the shelf this week. Coming in at number 5 spot, we have this 1/100 Libra Mayho Amazing Visions Virgin variant for the new issue of Amazing Spider-Man. I would be hypocritical with all of my love for Libra Mayho because I have been glazing Libra Mayho all year long, as he has definitely been hands down one of my golden boys, my Heisman, my award winner, my front runners, my MVPs of covers this year has been Libra Mayho, especially on Amazing Spider-Man. And when I see a Libra Mayho Mary Jane variant, I'm like salivating because I'm a huge fan of Mary Jane. I'm a huge Mary Jane cover collector. So I salivate. I start to drool and go, oh man, Libra Mayho is doing an Amazing Spider-Man Mary Jane cover. This is going to be a banger. And as you scroll up the page, it's like banger, 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 banger. What is this? When did Reba McEntire move into the city? What is going on? What happened to her face? I'm a stickler for faces. I would be a hypocrite if I didn't point that out. As I say it over and over again, that faces matter to me. The detail and accuracy on a face, like on a statue or on any piece of art, really matters to me. I understand art is open to interpretation, but somebody's face on a character that's been drawn over and over again matters. What happened here? I am not a fan of the Mary Jane face. That's where the cover goes awry for me, and that's why it's put at the number 5 spot. Otherwise, it's a beautiful, another banger from Lee Bermejo, but that face holds it back. Yeah, Lee Bermejo is my MVP of covers this year, or one of my MVPs for covers this year, but you can't hit a home run every time you step up at bat. You know, you're going to strike out once in a while. And I feel like that's kind of what this is. It's not a bad cover, but it's not what I think Lee Bermejo could do. It's not his best, in my opinion. So that's why it's at the number 5 spot. No hate, but for as much glazing of Lee Bermejo as I've done this year, I have to point out a flaw or two when one arises. And this is just kind of that instance. Like, otherwise, I think the cover is beautiful. I just feel like the face and the detail in the face was a misstep. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I did run this past people on SNS on Saturday. If you watch SNS, and the census was kind of like everyone agreed with me that Bermejo kind of had a misstep on this one. So that's why I made it at the number 5 spot for my worst coach of the week this week. Coming in at number 4, we have this 1 in 25 Aaron Coder variant on Amazing Spider-Man 15. I'm sorry if I mispronounced or butchered that name. This is just kind of downplayed, just basic. That's why it's the number 4 spot. It kind of looks like, you know, something you would doodle on your notebook in 4th grade during history class or, you know, social studies or whatever. It's got just a plain, you know, multicolored background, transitional colored background. Spider-Man's kind of basic, nothing really detailed in him, nothing great, nothing really to sing home about. Kind of, I feel like a lazy, especially at a 1 in 25. I don't know what the heck Marvel was thinking putting this as a 1 in 25. It should have been maybe a B cover, if a cover at all. So that's why I made it to the number 4 spot for me this week. Just too basic and toned down when you look at all the other Amazing Spider-Man covers this week. Coming in at number 3, we have this K Tanaska variant. Sorry if I butchered that as well, on Ultimate X-Men 21. I'm not into this chibi-ness of characters on my covers anymore. Like, you know, if I want that, I'll look for a Scotty Young or, you know, a couple other people. I'm just not a big fan of this Ultimate X-Men book. I was at the beginning, but it was always kind of the weaker of the Ultimate line for me, and it's still no exception. I don't know what's going on with all the rabbit heads on it, all the cutesy kind of chibi-ass girls on it. I don't know. It just kind of takes me out of this book. Makes it feels like it's not targeted towards me. It's got a specific audience it's trying to target. So because of that specificity and how niche down this cover makes me feel, I just passing on it this week. So that's why I made it to the number 3 spot, because there's other Ultimate X-Men covers that I feel like are way better on this book, especially the incentive. So that's kind of why this one made it to the worst covers of the week list for me this week. Coming in at number 2, we have this Corn Howell variant on Binary number 2. This is like the I want to speak to your manager rage, Karen Rage Bait variant. I don't know what's going on with the kind of hair in the background. I understand the Phoenix Force and all that, but too many points on this cover. Not a lot of detail. I just feel like it could have been done better, especially after the covers for Binary number 1 and some of the other covers on number 2. I just feel like this cover misses the mark, especially when there's not a lot of detail here to separate the fingers and just that pointy, I want to speak to your manager variant, what I would call it. So that's why Binary number 2 made it to the number 2 spot on the worst covers of the week list this week. And coming in at number 1, we have this 1 in 25 Josimara Casanovas variant on Star Wars Legacy of Vader number 10. I don't like this cover for a multitude of reasons. I feel like the two Force ghosts of Vader and what I'm assuming is either Obi-Wan Kenobi or Luke Skywalker, probably Luke Skywalker, just massively overshadowing Kylo Ren here and being bigger than Kylo Ren, especially when they're supposed to pull off like Kylo Ren has the high ground. Those figures are massive compared to the little itty bitty tiny Kylo Ren in the background as he's standing on a hill around the lava. The Force ghosts look like they don't belong there. They look like they were just taken from a different image and slapped onto this one. Why do you have your focal point in your main character and Kylo Ren? Yes, he is the main character in this book. So small on the cover. You're doing your main character an injustice when he's so small on the cover and barely noticeable. He's got that derpy, just lackluster face. What's up with that massive lightsaber that looks like it's almost bigger than him? Like it almost looks like it's too heavy for him to hold. And there's no way possible this version of Kylo Ren should be wielding that lightsaber. I don't know. It's just really aesthetically unappealing to me. I don't like it. I wouldn't put your main character, the focal point of your book, so small in the background of your cover. You want them front and center, proud, bold, and boisterous. And you don't get that at all from this cover. So that's why it made it to the #1 spot on the worst covers of the week for me this week. That's it for Marvel. Now we're going to move on into our independents, and kicking us off at our #5 spot for the best covers of the week for our independents this week, we have this Scorched #46 for Francisco Mattina variant with this Spawn, medieval Spawn. Looks beautiful. You get the classic green glowing eyes from Spawn, the detail in the armor, the detail in the shoulder pads. Really well done. A little bit of blood dripping off the sword makes you feel like he just got done with a battle of epic proportions. Really well done. Beautiful Mattina cover and on a Spawn book, of course, because Spawn's just known for having a beautiful covers. I don't know how many people collect Spawn just for the covers and don't actually read the interiors, but that's what happens with Spawn. Beautiful covers always, and this one is no exception. Coming in at #4, we have this cover B Eric Pfluger variant on Quick Stops Volume 3, #3. You have Buddy Christ and Metatron. If you're a fan of Dogma or Jay and Silent Bob or Kevin Smith in general, like I am, this is exciting to you. I love the way they kind of made this look like you get Metatron and Buddy Christ in that kind of stained glass church-esque window cover here. Maybe I'm biased, call me biased, but as a huge Kevin Smith fan and fan of Dogma, I love this cover as it perfectly depicts the legendary Alan Rickman in all of his glory, because who doesn't think Alan Rickman deserves to be pictured like this? And one of his funnest roles in Metatron from Dogma. Absolutely killer. Can't wait to read this book. Picking this cover up. Enough said. Coming in at #3, we have this cover Tyler Kirkham variant on Post Malone's Big Rig. I haven't read this book since issue 1. This is issue 4, but this is a beautiful Tyler Kirkham cover. I might pick this book up just for this cover alone. I love the detail in it, the detail in the big rig in the background with that skull with the horns, ornament on the front of it, the demon woman in the front. Beautiful cover, beautiful Tyler Kirkham. He did a fantastic job here. That's why it's in the #3 spot this week. Coming in at #2, we have Lee Bermejo on Cruel Universe Science. Again, I glazed him a little bit ago for having a bad cover. Now he totally redeems himself here. Look at the detail in this cover. The man in the tube, the kind of fetus and womb attached to this man, the woman on the outside as she yearns or longs for her lover, I would assume that's in this tank. Beautifully well done. A lot of detail. Maybe he was drawing this cover at the same time as that Mary Jane cover, and that's why that face got screwed up, because he was running out of time and he had to rush it. I don't know. That's just my assumption. But this is a totally redeeming cover from Lee Bermejo versus that Mary Jane one we talked about in the Marvel section. And coming in at #1, we have our boy Mark Spears on the cover B for G.I. Joe #13. Beautiful Cobra Commander. You have Cobra Commander there front and center, just giving you a shot of the gooch, giving you a shot of the goods. The old Cobra right in front and center, ready to strike. Just bust through that zipper and bite you right in the face. That's what Cobra's ready. Cobra is ready to deliver the goods. Beautiful cover. I love the use of the Cobra in the background, the detail, the different uses of blues on Cobra Commander. Beautiful Mark Spears. Absolutely killed it in this cover. Need I say more? I don't think so. This is the cover you should pick up if you're reading G.I. Joe. I mean, come on. What are we even talking about here? All right. Moving on to our worst covers of the week for our independents, we have this Godzilla cover B, James Stokey variant. What's up with Godzilla's oblong face? Looks like Godzilla just had a stroke. He's getting shot with this lightning. The detail is there, man. The helicopters look great. The destruction in the city looks great. The body of Godzilla looks great. But then when you get to a face, it's like you get Temu Godzilla. It's look like you got Wish Godzilla. It just looks weird. It looks like Godzilla had a stroke, or he's got just kind of like shit-eating grin on his face. I don't know. It's not great. The face ruins what would be an absolute banger of a cover for me. So that's why it made it to the number 5 spot. Not a terrible cover, but that face does detract from it. So for me anyway, maybe not you, but it does for me. And it kind of puts it in, I don't know, section. So that's why it made it to the number 5 spot this week. Coming in at number 4, we have this cover E, Jay Lee variant on Thundercats Lost number 8. Is there anybody out there? Let me know in the comment section below. Is there anybody out there that's actually reading this Thundercats book or any of these Thundercats book? Like, I don't know what Dynamite's doing, but they're putting out 1 million covers for these books every single month. And I don't know if anybody's reading them. I know I'm not. I picked up maybe issue 1 just to check it out. And then I've left it on the shelf ever since. And this Jay Lee cover could very well be why. Like, what does this cover do for you aesthetically? It's not aesthetically pleasing. She looks like she's got some body dysmorphia going on. It's very creepy, if you ask me, and it would kind of deter me from picking this cover up. I'd be afraid that she might accidentally hit me with her pointy elbows there, her spike elbows. I don't know. It just isn't aesthetically pleasing. It leaves a lot to be desired. And, you know, it's just not a very well done cover, in my opinion. There's not a lot going on in the background. Pretty plain, static background with a couple of movement lines there to make it look like she's rushing at you. But otherwise, it's just not a cover that is eye-catching and aesthetically pleasing. So I think it's a pass on this book this week. Coming in at number 3, we have, which breaks my heart, it's one of my favorite books right now, this Huck Big World number 6 from Mark Millar and Raphael Albuquerque. What happened to Raphael Albuquerque, man? He used to be one of my favorite cover artists back when he was doing Batman for DC. Now it just feels like the last couple of times he's drawn Superman, and especially this one, his faces, he's making a hero that's so wholesome. It's like, you know, Forrest Gump meets Superman is kind of what Huck is. He's a sweet guy. He's got no evil will doing in his bone in his body. And you take a character like that and you make him look very sadistic, sinister, and evil. I feel like this kind of really misses the mark on what this book is about and what Huck as a character represents and is about. So that's why it made it to the number 3 spot this week, because just that evil look. I love the silhouette, the sun shining on the background. If his face just didn't have such an evil, almost demonic possessed look to it, I think this would be a great cover. But I feel like Raphael Albuquerque, with that little bit of face you see alone, missed the mark. And it's amazing how much just a little piece of art can define a cover and define a character. And that's kind of what happened here, is that just the expression on that face, I feel like doesn't do justice or doesn't perfectly capture or represent what this character is about. So to me, it was a miss. So I made it to the number 3 spot on the worst covers of the week list this week. Coming in at number 2, we have Skin Police number 2, this cover B, Martin Simmons variant. I just feel like there's so much going on here. The woman in the front just kind of looks like she may have sharded after some Taco Bell and she's running for the bathroom. The blur lines to show speed in the background. It's just, what's going on? What is this? I don't like how out of focus everything is and how the black hard lines kind of make everything look weird. Like, for instance, like you got this hard black outer line here, and then this just like distorted, out of focus just washed out face. I don't know. It doesn't do a lot for me aesthetically. So that's why it made it to the number 2 spot this week. And at number 1, of course, we have Rob Liefeld's Youngbloods number 2. This book made it to number 1 for a lot of reasons. One, it's been delayed for months, but I think the biggest and most egregious reason it's made it to the number 1 spot is that it's coming in at a $12.99 to $13.99 price point. Why are we paying $12.99 to $13.99 for a Rob Liefeld Youngbloods image book? What is this? I know Rob's going to this direct-to-consumer business model and talking about doing all that and yada, yada, yada. But why $12 to $13 for this book? It's unacceptable. It's crazy, especially for Rob Liefeld. I understand that he's a legend in his own right and he feels like he can command a premium. That's great. This is a good Rob Liefeld cover for all standards, but it got put on the number 1 list for worst cover of the week this week just because it's kind of basic. The background, they're just jumping out of an explosion or smoke bubble. Not a lot to it. Doesn't command a lot of attention. But, I think what commands and negatively is that price point. That $12 to $13 price point is absolutely insane. And the fact that this book has been pushed multiple times. I don't know. Just doesn't do it for me. For me, that's enough reason to be the worst cover of the week, just to kind of stand up and say, listen, what makes you think I'm going to pay $13 for this book, let alone this cover? I don't know. It's just insanity to me, I think. So that's why it made it on the number 1 list for the worst covers of the week for our independents this week. But that's it. That's my top 5 best and worst covers of the week from DC, Marvel, and Independents. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below, as this is a discussion in the community. So I want to hear from you. What did you think was the best cover of the week this week? What did you think was the worst? Did you agree with my list? Did you not agree with my list? Why? Why not? Let me know in the comment section below, as I would love to start a dialogue and a conversation with all of you beautiful people. But that's it. That's where we're going to leave you this week. I hope you guys have a great new comic book day. Pick up lots of great stuff. Pick up lots of great variants and enjoy. And we'll see you right here next week around the Spinner Rack. Good to have a great new comic book Wednesday, everyone.